Our leaderboard for average revenue per member is out and it starts at $70.
Mike, that's
Yeah.
that's $370.
370 per client?
Yeah, I think we're up there.
I don't know. That sounds impossible. How do you know?
Because we've done it.
You were on that leaderboard?
Yeah, we're on that leaderboard. I think we're about
Oh,
halfway up.
will you share your secrets on this episode of Run a Profitable Gym?
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Great. I'm Mike Warkentin, and this is Run a Profitable Gym. Every week, I talk to gym owners and I get them to share their secrets so you can have the same success that they're having. Please subscribe wherever you're watching or listening, and you'll get all the secrets. Now, you've just heard from Darren Thornton. He runs Defy Functional Fitness in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. As he noted, he made our leaderboard. It was February numbers for average revenue per member per month. Now, this is not what his membership price is. This is when he averages out what everyone's paying amongst his clients. This is their average revenue per member. The leaderboard, get this, it starts at 370 in the 10 spot. It goes to $812 at number one. These are monster numbers, and a lot of gym owners will say they're impossible. It can't be done. I don't know how to do it. So we're going to get Darren to dig into those numbers and tell us exactly how he did it. Darren, welcome to the show again. Thanks for being here.
Not a problem. Glad to be here, Mike. Thanks.
All right, we're going to get right into it. Now, I want to know, talk to me about some of the milestones on your journey. So you made a leaderboard that is like top numbers in the world. How has your number changed over time from when you were a brand new gym owner to where you are now?
Yeah, so I first started truly tracking this in January of 2020, which was we opened in September 2018.
Okay.
And I always found it really difficult back then to figure out how many members we actually had, because we did have quite a few people on punch cards.
Mm-hmm.
And that always made it difficult, where you have someone who's buying a 10-class punch card, but they're not coming into the gym for maybe once a week or once every other week or whatever. But I imagine back in January 2019, we were around about the 200 Canadian dollar mark of what our average person was, just based on some probably not paying for 8 weeks because the punch card took a long time to expire, and then set up where our membership rates were at that time. I would say when we first started tracking properly and we knew exactly how many members we had, in January 2020, we were up at just under $300. And now and that's Canadian again. And then now we average around 500 per month Canadian dollars, roughly.
And that translates to 370 American, give or take, on the leaderboard. The numbers that I gave you, 370 and 812, those are US dollars. So in Canada, about 500. So that's crazy. Tell me a little bit about your business. What kind of stuff do you sell at Defy? And how does that, calculate into $500 ARM? Like, what are you offering to people? What kind of packages do you have? That kind of thing.
So really, we're trying to sell a solution for people to get better at life through health and fitness.
Ooh, it sounds like you've actually thought about this because you rattled it off way too fast.
No, it's just, that's our mission. That's what we do, right? So it kind of comes pretty easily. But no, the biggest thing with what we do is, working from a two-brain perspective, from a prescriptive model, is always how are we going to get the best results for the members that we work with. And the best is always going to be personal training. Mm-hmm. Right. So if we look to work one-on-one with somebody, we're going to be able to get the best results. We're going to be able to spend the most time with them. We're going to be able to build the best relationship with them. And ultimately, they're going to get the best results. Now, that doesn't mean personal training is necessarily the best way for everybody, because if you're somebody who's super social, then stood with one person for an hour might not be, the most fun for you. So it really depends on what the client is and how we put our packages together to basically get them the best results that they're going to get. Now, we have two major options. One of them is personal training only, as we just spoke about. And then the other option would be a mixture of personal training and group classes.
Aha. There's no gym owner that I've spoken to who has a high ARM who doesn't mention personal training and some sort of hybrid model between group and personal training. So you might have, I don't know, a group membership and you tack on a session a week or something like that. It's any combination. It might even include nutrition coaching at some gyms. The point being, this is a blend of services and they're all prescribed, as Darren said, to get the client the fastest results. So this is the prescriptive model where you ask a client, what problems are you trying to solve? And then you give that client the fastest solution to the problems. The fastest solution, as Darren said, is going to be personal training, maybe nutrition coaching, some combination of that, but like one-on-one high touch service. Not every client can afford that or wants that. As he said, you might change that prescription and say, okay, based on, your preferences, we have this option. But the idea is that you tell clients what they want, and it's not just throw them into group classes, which is what I did for many, many years. And my ARM was not $370, wasn't $500, wasn't $800. It was far lower. It's probably in the range of $112 or something like that. So this is a very specific plan that you've got in place at your gym. And you said you emphasize personal training and hybrid, correct?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that kind of affected our ARM was the fact that we introduced like a fundamentals process. Now, fundamentals process for us is like 12 weeks long.
Okay. Tell me about this. This sounds amazing already.
Yeah, so it was, I always open my gym with the idea of having hybrid memberships and doing these fundamentals. The biggest problem is I couldn't afford any staff at the time, and I couldn't take everyone through personal training myself. So, initially people started joining group a little bit too early, right? So yeah, everybody, there's a version of our 12-week program for anybody who wants to join the group classes. And it starts off with personal training for everybody. So everybody's going to do a minimum of 6 personal training sessions before they get anywhere near the group. And that's even if you come from another CrossFit gym or another functional fitness style gym where it says, hey, I've been doing this for so much. We say, great, that's cool, but everybody's got different standards. Everybody teaches things a little bit differently, and we just want to get to know you and how we can help you best. So, you tell me that your knee bothers you on certain exercises. Well, I want to put you through those exercises, and my team to know what is the threshold where we can work with you and we can help you get better with that knee pain, or we might need to avoid, whatever that exercise is for a period of time.
So I'll push back. I'm just going to give you this. I'm going to give you this, right? A question a gym owner has in their head right now. You tell me what the answer is. Why should if I sell group coaching, why should I put someone in a one-on-one setting first? That seems weird. What's your answer to that?
Because I think it's irresponsible to put someone straight into a group class without knowing anything about them physically, even mentally. Like, how can you talk to somebody in a class setting without them, taking offense, right? Like, I'm from a military background. There's some of my clients that like that kind of, motivation, if you will, during a session. And then there's other people who that would totally turn off, and, they may end up even in tears if they got spoke to in that way. So obviously you don't want to be like that with that person. So there's a lot of things that you want to learn about somebody before they're in that group class, where it's a lot harder to learn about that person when there's 12, 14, however many other people you have in your class.
Okay, so you're finding out about them physically, but you're also finding out about them emotionally, mentally, all the other things that allow you to build a long-term relationship. So again, guys, if you're listening out there and you're like, I sell group coaching, maybe you don't want to just sell group coaching, but even if you do, it's going to be much easier to get to know a client and know what that client needs and how you can help that client succeed if you start one-on-one. I had this exact experience at my gym. We put on one-on-one on-ramp before group coaching. It made a huge difference in client success and in revenue. Now, I cut you off. Tell me more about that fundamentals beginning program.
Yeah, so after they've done a couple of weeks of just personal training only, they then go into a combination of personal training and group classes for the remaining 10-week period of the initial 12 weeks. So somebody very new, they might do 1 class a week and 2 personal training sessions. Somebody who is a little more experienced, they might do only 3 more personal training sessions through the whole period of the next 10 weeks. And the majority of their stuff is going to be group. It just really depends on where they are. And although we have some set outlines of programs, we can totally mold these and change these, to however is going to work for that person best. We do have a little bit of a nutrition program in our initial 12 weeks, but it's very much a hands-off approach where there's a little bit of a check-in from it, but it's more sort of educational based. Nutrition is important, but I feel that it's something that can come afterwards once you've established a gym routine. I feel like if people are trying to establish all these new routines all at once, it can become a little bit overwhelming. So kind of once you're into a habit of, I come to the gym 3 times a week as a minimum, we can then have a look at, going a little bit deeper into some more personalized nutrition at that point. Because there's a lot of low-hanging fruits with nutrition that if you do some of the basic stuff right, it will help most people. They just need that bit more accountability. So we provide a little app that they can track some kind of habit-based nutrition stuff. So, making sure they get enough water, making sure they get enough protein, that kind of stuff. But it's very low-level nutrition guidance until they've, got that gym routine in place.
So it sounds like you've considered your client journey and decided how is the best way to get this client from this goal to this result. Am I wrong?
No, that's correct.
Yeah. And you've laid it out perfectly. You say, okay, well, nutrition is important, but if I ram it in too soon, it's going to be a lot to handle. And what we need to do is get this person to start coming to the gym, start working out, get some momentum. Then we're going to do some other stuff. Like it's you guys, if you're out there, your client journey, if you don't have one and don't know how it goes from the time a client interacts with your business for the first time till the time the client leaves your business, you need to set that out. You can do it very quickly on a timeline with a piece of paper. And if you do that, I guarantee you will see opportunities to serve that client better, which then allows you to increase your ARM by offering different services. Now, I love that you've got this thing laid out. You said that, so the number one thing that contributes to your ARM was putting in this introductory program. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And
so yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that the other reason for that is personal training is fully accepted at my gym, like, because everybody starts that way. There is no way that you can not start that way. So it means that people are more, when they think about, I can't quite do this skill, then maybe I add a personal training session to get that skill, right? So it's just something that I think if you're a group only based gym, a lot of people might just think, well, I'll have to wait until double unders come up in the next class before I can get better at them. No, let's do a 30-minute session. And by the end of the 30 minutes, you should have made some decent progress with that particular skill.
It's so obvious when you lay it out, but when I was in my gym every day, I couldn't possibly see this. I just assumed that clients would eventually hit double under day and we'd do some coaching and warm up and they'd fix it. That was just such a misguided approach, both in terms of helping clients and in terms of driving up revenue, right? Think about it, guys. If you're listening and you're out there, think about whatever your group class membership rate is. Then think about your PT rate. And if you don't have one, I'll just throw $75 an hour at you. A group class client is struggling with any skill, and you say, I can help you in 1 hour make huge differences. It's going to make your fitness better and your workouts more enjoyable. You want to book a PT session? They say yes. Add $75 or whatever your PT rate is to your group class rate. What does that do for your ARM? It drives it up. It's more revenue for you and it helps the client out in a huge setting. Like, have you seen that? I guess you've probably seen that thousands of times, Darren, at your gym where client struggles, add a PT session, away they go, everything's better. Is that true?
Definitely. You can think there's certain movements that, I say, like, it doesn't matter how fit you are, a double under, if you practice it, you'll get it, right? Mm-hmm. It's just one of those, they're skill based. And there's other things like pull-ups, which obviously are going to take a lot longer to build the strength. And maybe you need to lose a bit of body weight to get that as well. But you can still make some progress with that. But some of those skill-based stuff, like you can have that clicked in a half an hour, and then when they come to see it in the class again, they're gonna have more fun with that movement, and they're gonna have a more enjoyable experience and keep making more progress. So it's a win for everybody.
I think it's actually a retention tool in some ways, because I know I had people quit the gym because they hated double unders in Olympic weightlifting, right? And they just weren't good at it, didn't like it, didn't want to work on it, didn't see it enough to really enjoy it. Yeah, if they got some more skill with it, they might learn to enjoy it. It would have been a retention thing. And if nothing else, that 1 hour I spent with them would have been a time to interact with them and find out how I can help them. So it's so obvious, guys. If you're not doing these kind of things, start doing them now and put them into your client journey. Check in with group class clients every 90 days. Are you struggling with anything? Can we help you out? Do you want to add a PT session? I mean, it's just obvious stuff that's really, really going to help. You might not see it because I didn't see it. Darren, what else has moved the needle with ARM? So though you mentioned some big ones already, tell me anything else that you've got on your list that really made a measurable effect on this number.
So it kind of all comes back to the same idea of some kind of one-to-one service. Mm-hmm. So I'd say the biggest thing that we did was we introduced fundamentals. Yep. So that's kind of number one. And then the second thing that we did is initially after we introduced our fundamentals program, we then had a group only membership. But then we changed that in January of 2021, where now it's a hybrid membership for everybody. So it's still along the lines of personal training, but now that there's not an option for group only. And I would say that, when we introduce these changes, I always look at three things, like, is it good for the business? Is it good for the client? And is it good for my staff? Mm-hmm. Right. And it can be in any of those orders that sometimes more have priority, because if it's good for the business, then it's going to be good for my family. Right. If it's good for the client, then that's because they're going to get more progress. All right. Because they're going to do, as we just mentioned, in those sort of sessions. And then I have like 5 full-time staff who have full-time personal training rosters, because we have all of our members going through personal training sessions. Now, one thing that we did do, which I think combines with these personal training sessions, is we introduced our own version of like a sort of a level grading system within the gym. And that just means that there's always something to work on with somebody in those sessions, because we can have a look back at like, hey, what is it that you're not quite as good at? So if you're, we have 7 levels, let's say you're on level 2 and you're checking off all of the weightlifting stuff, then hey, we need to spend some time on the body weight stuff. So let's spend some time on your pull-ups, on your push-ups, on your dips, whatever that might be. And then those personal training sessions, then they can have a structure to them quite easily, without us having to say like, hey, what is it that you're not quite getting? And somebody's like, oh, I don't know, I kind of suck at this, or whatever. But it's like, no, here we can see a true measurement of how it is. And then we have rewards when you hit certain levels and all that kind of stuff. So it really, people want to do those sessions. People look forward to those sessions, because that's probably a place where they can most clearly see their progress.
So it's kind of like the, white belt to black belt situation in a martial arts gym. Some gyms use level method. That's a thing that can be bolted on. You've created your own system of levels, but it's the idea of ascension with rewards, right? And it meshes very clearly with personal training sessions in the hybrid model. Now, I want to step back and ask you a question, because a lot of people will be scared about this one. When you made a change from group only to hybrid, did you lose members? What happened? Was there pushback? What happened to the gym and the business and the members?
So I didn't make it mandatory for all of my current members.
Okay.
When they joined the gym, they joined the gym for what they wanted to join the gym for. Mm-hmm. We did obviously make it optional for them, and we had a good probably 30-40% people tack that on.
Okay, that's cool.
Right. So they kind of saw the value. And I think every week we have, some more people who are like, oh, because they see other people making progress quicker. And that's what they want too. Right. So yeah, I didn't make it mandatory for my members, because like I said, they joined the gym, they joined for group only. The easiest thing that you can do is you just make it mandatory for anybody that comes to the gym at that point. Right. And then there is, if you do have some pushback, which I don't think I've ever had any pushback because of that, I explain the reasons why for it, and everybody sees and gets it. I think, I do have a relatively beginner level membership. So a lot of people like the idea that they're not just going to be left by themselves, to come to group classes, and, they're going to get that more attention. I think, with functional fitness, CrossFit, people have this misconception of injury a lot. So, kind of tying it to that of like, hey, this is for a benefit. You're going to see progress. There's going to be less chance that you're going to, do something wrong in the gym, and it's going to be, a win-win for everybody.
What a feeling of confidence it must have given you to push this out to the general public when you're 30 to 40% of your members said, yeah, I'll sign up for hybrid. That's great. Like, did you just like smile all day about that?
Yeah, I think, you could look at a list of members and you could probably say, well, I know these people won't do it because, whether it's they've been doing this stuff for a long, long time where they feel they don't need it, which, I've been at a level where I've always been very, very good at this stuff, but I've always needed a coach, right? So it doesn't matter where you are, but some people just don't think they do, or they don't necessarily see value in it at that point. But yeah, to get most people on board with it, you just know you're doing it for the right reasons, right? It's to make their journey better, and then secondary to be able to, you know, provide a proper career for my coaches. And that's a big thing with this is, you know, we have so much personal training circulating through our gym. There's always lots of sessions available for people to have, you know, full-time schedules.
So when you made this change, I'm going to guess your ARM is going along like this. You put in the hybrid thing and boom, you get a nice little launch ramp there that then gives you a revenue boost and also allows you to make these careers for coaches and start filling up coaches saying, hey, rather than pay you, 20 or $25 per group class, which is going to burn you out, you're not going to make a living. We now have a ton of personal training at premium rates where you can now make a great living and support your family. And you're not going to leave my business because of another job. Like, did I lay that out kind of how it happened?
Yeah, I think, you know, I've been relatively fortunate where I worked at, you know, I spent time at 3 different gyms in 3 different continents. So I got to see a different, and I was at a gym where personal training was mandatory. And at the time I thought, wow, that's crazy. Like, you know, there's no way that could work. Like, and I saw it, and, you know, I was in the Middle East. It was a wealthy country. So it didn't seem like it was realistic, right? It didn't, you know, but the more I came, then I moved to Canada, and, you know, I saw the difference I saw the gap, like, between people just doing group only and then having this personal training model that I've been a part of before. And I was like, you know what, this is the way, this is the best way to do it. You just have to find, like, the correct model and the correct way to do it.
So you know exactly which clients you want now, right? Like, you're not just saying, I want everyone at my gym. You know the exact person that you want to walk in the door and take up your service, right?
Absolutely. We want people who want to be coached.
Yeah. And that's the
And
thing. People say that all the time. Oh, I can never charge this much money for memberships. Like, not everyone's going to pay this membership, but you need to figure out who will, and then find those people. Tell me, I cut you off there. Tell me more what you're going to say there.
no, just you just want people who are coming in with a mindset of, you know, I can get better. I can learn from the coaches that are here. I'm not just coming because they have pull-up bars and barbells and ski ergs, right?
Yeah. Access
Because
sounds cheap, right?
well, I actually don't even classify us as a gym. You know, we're a coaching service.
There you go.
So, you know, this idea of what's in our gym really doesn't matter. We'll always have the best equipment we can get because I want to provide that for my members, but it's really not a selling point of what we do, because we could probably get similar results with just a dumbbell and a kettlebell, right? If you did it properly, right?
Equipment and open gym and like group classes, that sounds like cheaper service to me. Coaching and goal accomplishment and one-on-one, call it fitness mentorship or any version of that. That sounds to me like a high value service that I would be interested in paying more for. Tell me a little bit about your marketing. So how do you acquire these high value clients? What are you emphasizing? What are you doing to get these people in the door?
So we had a lot of success with Facebook marketing initially.
Okay.
I don't even know if our Facebook advertisements are turned on right now. I actually have no idea. I can't remember the last time. Sometimes they're left on in the background. I might have turned them off. But really, it's all affinity marketing. It's once we get, we've now got to a point where we have enough members. Now this is difficult in early days because you don't have enough members to, keep gaining new members from. But now, like I really, ideally, I would love just to take on people who know somebody at the gym.
Yep. And what that does is it makes your marketing budget very small. All you have to do is budget the time to talk to your current members and figure out who their friends and family and colleagues and coworkers are. And Chris Cooper has exact plans for this in our mentorship program. You can download this plug and play template where here are the questions you ask. Here's the chart you fill out. Here is how you figure out who this person lives with, works with, plays with, all this other stuff. And then here's how you approach and get referrals. It's an active process. It is not a passive process. If you think the referrals will just come because you're great, it won't happen. Sorry to break the news to you. You have to find out how to do this with an active process, but that takes your marketing budget very low in terms of monetary spend. You're investing time. It gives you hot leads, right? Because your friends, your people at the gym, they're already going to tell your friends, now Darren's great. Go to Defy. You got to go to this gym. It's amazing. They're not going to be like, people who come in and say, so tell me about Defy. They're going to be people who already know and like you to a degree because they know your friends love you. Like, has that been your experience, Darren?
Oh, absolutely. Like, when somebody's coming in from a referral, then usually the only potential problem is maybe the budget.
Mm-hmm. Your
But
close
most
rate must be
people,
off the charts.
yeah, but most people have an idea because their friend tells them what they pay.
Right.
So, if you're coming in, you probably have an idea of, what our membership costs, and yeah, it's a relatively simple process. It's just about finding the right plan for that person,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that they're, going to have the best experience.
These people are like pre-qualified to the highest level and they want to sign up because their friend is there. It's kind of like fishing with a net in a fish tank, right? Like you're gonna get these people. Do you know your close rate off the top of your head?
We're always over 80%.
Huge.
And the ones that are in there are most likely people that have come through Facebook, the ones who
Yep.
don't sign up.
Mm-hmm.
And those ones, you could have a mixture of, they're relatively cold leads.
Mm-hmm.
I always find it quite surprising when you're like, hey, do you have any idea about what we do at the gym? And they're like, no, I just turned up. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, there's a lot of information you could find out. And at that point, you kind of know that, like, okay, this person is, maybe not as interested as, they might seem, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, right?
It
But,
does.
it's, they're in your gym, they've come to see you, so they've given up some time as well. So, it's not always a lost cause. But yeah, compared to somebody's friend or one of our members' family or something, it's a much different process.
Yeah. And I talked to a gym owner about a month ago named Derek Batman, and he said that he really worked hard to dial in his Facebook marketing to target just a very small group of people that were likely to buy. And like that kind of depends on where you are in gym development. In the early stages, as you said, you might need to try and get a lot more people and cast a wider net. As you start to figure out your client journey, your exact audience, you're probably going to want to narrow that stuff up so that you don't waste time in sales meetings with people who don't want to purchase what you are selling. But the best part about this, again, you don't have to market if you're getting all the clients you need through referrals. Like it's such an amazing thing. And again, Two Brain can teach you the exact steps to do this. It is not hard, but you will not get referrals if you don't follow a process to make it happen. Darren, I'm going to ask you as we close this out. People out there are skeptical. They always think $300, $400 ARM is impossible. They look at 800 and say it's made up. It's not. We actually have the data, but people look at these things and they question them. What are a few baby steps that people could do today after listening to the show to make a step in the right direction to raise their average revenue per member?
Just add 3 personal training sessions to anybody who joins your gym.
Okay. So like someone comes in, they join your gym and you say, okay, the on-ramp or the intro process is 3 personal training sessions. Is that how you do it? Or what would be the steps there?
Yeah, I would just, if you don't have a deeper in-depth sort of on-ramp program, or even if you do have an on-ramp program, but it's relatively short, just add 3 personal training sessions. It can be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour, whatever the price is for that you have set. Just add those to your anybody that joins the gym, and instantly, you will increase your average revenue per member just from that straight away. And then, eventually, if you have the means to be able to do it, and really it's a staff thing, is have everybody on some kind of hybrid membership, I would say, where they just do at least, like, our basic hybrid is 1 30-minute personal training session every 4 weeks. We work on a bi-weekly cycle, so you could do 1 30 minutes every month. Now, if you've got like 200 members, that's like 200 sessions a month. So you need the people to be able to do that, right? So yeah, that there will be 2 things that I would do, is just add 3 sessions to your on-ramp program or your fundamentals program, whatever you call it, and then just eventually have a look at, can we add a 30-minute personal training session to everyone's membership or every new person's membership?
And I'll give you something else. If you want to really focus on this right away with a very easy thing, take 5 clients, any 5, and just ask them to sit down with you for 15 minutes for a goal review session. And just ask them, what are you working on? What are you frustrated about? What's going right? What do you want to accomplish in the next 90 days? Just talk to them. they're going to tell you something that they want to work on. That might give you a huge opportunity to say, book a PT session with me. I can teach you that in 1 hour, or I can make visible progress in 1 hour. Okay. And in that session, the other thing that you can do, where do you live? Where do you work? Who do you do it with? Get to know your client, talk about what they do, and write that stuff down. And eventually you can use that information to ask for a referral. Okay. So that's, Darren and I have given you some very easy things that you can start doing literally today to increase your ARM. And if you do these things, your number is going to go up. Darren, were you skeptical ever that $300 ARM was just wild and off the charts and undoable?
I don't think I thought of it that way. I thought of it more as, I remember looking at the initial sort of profit ratios and all that kind of that when I first joined Two Brain, and I saw what I needed to make per month to make those profit ratios, because I do have quite a high sort of like rent expense.
Toronto is not cheap.
Yeah. So, and I was like, I don't know if I could ever get that number per month, but now we're probably 50% more than that number. So initially it was like one of those things that didn't make sense. So I don't think I looked at it from an average revenue per member, because I always went off what was kind of like my base membership and how many members would I need to make that. And that number was always crazy. So it never looked, you know what I mean? Never looked realistic.
So you did the math of what you needed to make to live the life you wanted and run the business that you wanted, and thought the number was crazy, but now you're 50% above that number.
Yeah.
That's an incredible story. Wow. I'm super happy for you. And Chris Cooper mentioned that I needed to talk to you, and I'm glad I did. Thanks so much for your time, Darren. I hope that number keeps going up, and I hope you keep serving clients in Toronto well.
Thanks, Mike.
That was Darren Thornton. This is Run a Profitable Gym. Thanks for watching and listening. Please subscribe for more shows just like this. Gym owners just like Darren are going to share their secrets so that you can have the same success that they're having.